Today, for example, there was a tweet that went out on Twitter, I guess around, I don't know, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., along the lines of Julian Fantino has just shown up to a campaign, to a Passover meal to campaign. And this is tasteless, and how dare he do this? And that, I spent a large part of my day trying to track down whether that was true or not, because unfortunately, you can't get a lot of contact information off of Twitter. You have to try and find the person in real life. But that guided me to, it turned out not to be a story because that was an incorrect tweet, and he didn't actually go to this event. But that's another example of how it's actually influencing what journalists do on a daily basis. And I think part of the reason why the election cycle is so, the story cycle in the news is so quick is because there's one tweet after another that you pounce on because you're under pressure to do so, and that can become a story, or maybe it won't, but if it does, great, but then the next day someone tweets something else, and then that becomes a story. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there are, you know, tweets and all this information actually translate into something physical and something that actually, you know, the news takes part of the news cycle up. So it does impact what journalists do.
When what people are trying to do effectively when they're using Twitter, when politicians are using Twitter, when people are writing what they think on Twitter, what they're trying to do is they're broadcasting their thoughts and they're trying to gain influence in some way. As you said, I mean, you engage in this activity in order to inspire activity in some way, some interaction. And when it's becoming a primary source of information, as Kenyon said, these are more what you see on Twitter are the kernels of ideas that reporters and observers, just viewers like you and I watching, we have to decide for ourselves whether or not we believe what is being said there. And Kenyon also mentioned there's a lot of pressure on reporters now with this abbreviated cycle. You know, you said something a little bit ago about how someone's like, oh, that's old news, that's 4 hours ago. Well, it's true. I mean, the office hours, ebb and flow of social media traffic have created a news cycle that we're talking about that is really 8 hours long. And when you're a reporter, you're an editor, and you're watching, you see this thing start to happen, and then you see the build start to come, and you can see the wave rise of people retweeting, people talking around like, oh, wow, this is a pretty big deal. I should really have something on this. And you feel this pressure to get involved because you know the difference between putting your voice in now and putting your voice in 2 hours later, is the difference between tens of thousands of impressions of having an opportunity to get involved in that conversation as well. So I mean, it's an incredibly powerful medium, but it's also a very dangerous medium, and a lot of reporters and editors have had to learn how to...
Gordon Lightfoot is dead?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I worked for a news organization that killed Gordon Lightfoot a year ago on Twitter. It was, but we didn't kill Pat Burns. That was the second trial of Twitter in the news, in newsrooms. I mean, because of the Lightfoot incident, and then again, some did the same mistake with Pat Burns, saying that he died when in fact he had not, all very unconfirmed, is that it's kind of, it's ingrained a sort of cynicism amongst, reporters as well as the media, or sorry, the public at large, which is necessary.
I'm not sure if I agree with you that Twitter or social media is quote-unquote setting the agenda. I think it acts as signposts as to where stories might be. So, for example, I'll use the example of this Julian Fantino thing again. Somebody tweets that there's this controversial thing that may or may not have happened. Okay, well, let's find out for ourselves. So, a responsible journalist will investigate to see if it is. If it turns out to be an issue that is really has been retweeted a lot, that seems to have engaged politicians, such as this debate issue. I think our job is to report on what people are talking about and what politicians are saying. In a case like that to not report on something that would be an abdication of responsibility. So again, journalism, I mean, I think most people will agree, it's all about judgment in a sense that, we decide, what stories go on each page every day, and sometimes for interesting reasons, stories don't make it, and that's someone's judgment call. So I think it's just an extension of that journalistic responsibility that you evaluate a story and decide whether or not it's worthy of the kind of attention that you think it should get. And I think Twitter is just in my opinion anyway, the way I use it is it's just another way of getting story ideas or looking at what are people saying, is this worth covering, is there any truth to this? I don't think, at least I don't know any journalist who is letting their guard down in the sense they're just believing what they see and turning it into a story.
I would say that based on what I've observed so far, the Liberal Party has the edge on understanding the digital culture. They've done some really interesting things with video, with even some blogging, and with Twitter especially. The tone is really it's almost, as I said, when Michael Ignatieff put out his gauntlet dropping tweet, I said he must have taken a page out of the book of Tony Clement, because he nailed the way to say something that will get people excited. The NDP have done a lot of stuff with video, actually. I'm not crazy about some of their videos, but I think they're on the right track. The Conservative Party is presenting itself as not being social media friendly, and they're silencing people as they go. So we see, what's his name, Dobbridge, what was his name, the Churchill, Manitoba candidate, who had made some comments a year ago about Obama. His Twitter account is now private, and he deleted the comment from his Facebook profile, which almost says more than if he had just acknowledged the comment and said, hey, my opinion has evolved over time. So I think that the Liberals have the edge, and they're certainly getting a lot more mentions as a result. But does that mean translating to votes? Probably not.